Welcome to WFRV Plus Sports Night. Packers Bengals coming up this weekend, and it'll be on Local 5, which is even more of a treat. Everyone, Cameron is there with you for the rest of the night, and like I said, this Packers Bengals game is the talk of the town after the last game Green Bay played at Lambeau was a month ago. Crazy to think about. You start the first two games at home, you play so well, then you stumble in games 3 and 4. You're almost forced to have a week off with the bye week, and you haven't played at Lambeau since that Thursday night game against the Commanders. And after that game, everyone thought Super Bowl aspirations. And now exiting the bye week, this team and the outlook on it is so far from that. So much has changed in a month, but it'll be good to see the Pack back at Lambeau wearing that green and gold. That will be the uniform combo for the Packers. So Thursday, meaning the penultimate practice for Green Bay before that game on Sunday. They'll practice one more time on Friday. Us in the media will only get to see stretch and then talk to the players after the fact. Very tame locker room, I would say, today. Talk to Micah Parsons, Brandon McManus as well. Obviously, we'll touch on that in a little bit. But before we get to anything, let's listen in to Matt LaFleur this morning as he talked to us about a whole lot of things. And of course, the biggest, I would say, thing to focus on entering the bye week was getting everyone healthy. That was first and foremost. That was the emphasis. That is what Matt LaFleur said right at the beginning of his press conference. I think it was last Tuesday or when the bye week was starting and we didn't see the Packers for a week. When asked what needs to improve, and he said health. So first, we're going to start with an update on Zach Tom from Matt LaFleur and then hear the rest of it. But this is Matt LaFleur to start on Zach Tom, the right tackle, who's, of course, been out with that oblique injury, but has been back out there at practice this week. Listen in.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's out there, I'm encouraged. So, we'll see. We'll give him the week and see how he performs today before we make any decisions.
What's the outlook for Devontae Wyatt?
In terms of today?
For the week.
Yeah, he's not going to practice today. So, the closer it gets to game time, the harder it is to envision him out there.
What is he meant for? Kind of an obvious question with all the pressure he's generating.
Yeah, he's done an outstanding job. I think he's really hit his stride, playing his best ball. And obviously, the results speak for themselves. He's been a big impact on defense.
Now you guys have Brandon McManus listed on the injury report. I'm assuming that's from those tackles that he had to make in the game.
It is not from the tackles. No.
Okay. So anytime your kicker's limited on the injury report, what's going on there?
Yeah, that's a major concern right now. So we'll see how he's doing today and tomorrow, and then we'll have a plan ready to go.
I'm not looking for a ranking of the guys, but you face Hutchinson and Garrett. What stands out about Hendrickson?
I mean, he's been a very consistent player for a lot of years now, and he's another one of those guys that can wreck the game if you give him the opportunities. So we got to make sure we do a great job in regards to obviously knowing where he's aligning and then helping out when possible.
Is it this athleticism? Is it the power?
I think it's all of the above. I think he's got a great get off. I think he plays with really good pad level, and he's a guy that can run right through your face and put you on the ground, or he can run right around you. But I think it all starts with his ability to get off the football.
Is Al Golden's defense a 4-3, and does he bring like a fifth guy often to bring pressure on quarterback?
Yeah, he's multiple. So they've rolled out a lot of different personnel groupings, both when they're playing nickel defense. If they want to put 5 bigs out there, they can do that. They can play a dime defense, and then in base, whether they play 4 down or bring a 5th big, as we quote him, he's very, very multiple in what he does.
Man, you guys have been really good on third down on both sides of the ball so far. What are the keys to keeping that going?
Well, I think being in those advantageous situations. So winning first and second down is critical on both sides of the ball. So if you're getting people in third and long, you got a much better opportunity to get them off the grass. And conversely, on offense, we need to keep it in third or 5 or less, and then we feel pretty good about that.
Did something happen with Brandon in practice yesterday?
Yes.
I know you guys, I guess, initially brought Mark here as more of a developmental guy. Has he shown enough that if he needs to kick on Sunday that you're confident in him to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's never the situation you want to be in regards to, like, hey, first time going out there, but I think Mark's shown some good progress. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's out there, I'm encouraged. So, we'll see. We'll give him the...
So that's Matt LaFleur just talking about pretty much there wasn't a lot to talk about, honestly, in terms of health. That was the biggest topic of conversation. And let's focus on what he just finished off on. Brandon McManus, the kicker. Now, a couple weeks ago, we saw the rookie offensive lineman Anthony Belton added to the injury report after he supposedly suffered an ankle injury in practice on Wednesday. And when he was added, didn't think much of it. And you just heard from Matt LaFleur about Anthony Belton and the fact that he won't be back for a little while, or at least that's the expectation. So when you see Brandon McManus on an injury report that's like a Costco receipt, you kind of think to yourself, I mean, it can't be much, right? There's so many guys on the injury report. I'm about to read the injury report right now. Let's just get to the injury report, because again, when you saw Brandon McManus on that Wednesday injury report, you thought to yourself, quad injury or a kicker, that's not good news. But it's not like McManus is alone with that right quad injury, because Aaron Banks has that groin injury still limited. He said he'll play, though. Kingsley Enagbare, ankle injury limited. Nate Hobbs, concussion limited. Tucker Kraft, Jordan Love, both full participants. But Jacob Monk, as he works his way back from a hamstring injury, of course, he was on the physically unable to perform list, and now his 21-day window to return is back open. We got Zach Tom, like you just heard, limited. Rasheed Walker was limited the other day and did not participate in practice today, which is not great news for this Packers team that's already so depleted with Zach Tom and Aaron Banks in flux, and now Rasheed Walker, your starting left tackle. Again, not great news. And then Christian Watson, obviously limited because he's working his way back from that ACL injury, but he's back at practice. Savion Williams limited. Devontae Wyatt did not participate. So with the injury report that long, obviously you have concerns, especially coming out of the bye week. You're thinking, can't this team just be healthier? Wouldn't you be healthier out of the bye week? So again, this is a long-winded way of saying I think Brandon McManus got lost in the scrum. And a big shout out to ESPN's Rob Domofsky for even bringing up the question of McManus, because it didn't have to be a big deal. And then Rob brought it up, and Matt LaFleur goes, this is a major concern, his right quadricep injury. Now, the only other kicker on the roster for the Packers is their International Pathway Program player who's on their practice squad. And again, you get one IPP player who I think it doesn't count toward your active roster. It's almost its separate category. If you remember, Alex Hale was the one from last year, and now it's Mark McNamee, the kicker, who just joined the team a month ago from Ireland. I mean, he was barely on the team during the preseason. And although Matt LaFleur might say he has confidence in McNamee's growth, he's not Brandon McManus, which draws a lot of concerns because you need a consistent kicker, because we've seen over the last couple of years with Anders Carlson and Braden Narvison, if you don't have a kicker that can consistently get it done, that's not great news. So when you hear major concern, you start to have concerns about what that right quadricep injury could lead to. We're going to take a short break here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. And after it, Brandon McManus was out at practice today. He was wearing a hat. Usually his Thursdays are non-kicking days, so that wasn't out of the ordinary. But we got to speak to McManus, so we'll give you an update on the veteran kicker next, right here on WFRV Sports Night. And we're back on the show, WFRV Sports Night. WFRV Plus Sports Night, that is. Because it's WFRV Plus. A whole lot more. I'm Cameron Ezair here with you solo tonight, holding down the fort. Packers Bengals this weekend, but the biggest story, who would have thought that the biggest story midweek would be the kicker? You heard me right. Turn that music down. The kicker, Brandon McManus, who was listed on the injury report after Wednesday's practice with a right quadricep injury. Many thought it was due to the multitude of tackles he had to make in Dallas on kick returns, but that was not the case. Also came up gimpy a little bit after that final kick that ultimately tied the game in Dallas, but that was also not what led to the right quad injury. So why do we speculate? Well, we're not supposed to. And instead of speculating, let's hear from the man himself, Brandon McManus, on what happened.
What happened yesterday in practice, and how do you feel?
I was kicking, warming up. I had kickoffs earlier in the day, and then I was warming up for field goals. It kind of felt a tug against my quad. I gave it a couple minutes, tried again, and I just shut it down for the day. I didn't want to make it worse. It felt very similar to I had a quad type deal in 2022. We were going in to play the Ravens when I was with the Broncos, and it happened on Wednesday, and then I just pretty much took the week off and then played on Sunday. So.
LaFleur said it was a major concern, your injury. Would you classify it as that?
He didn't speak to me about that,
Okay.
so he has his own thesaurus encyclopedia to describe injuries.
How do you feel today as compared to yesterday?
I feel a lot better today. I do.
So you think you'll play?
Yes, I plan on playing. Yes.
Is there any chance, like, if it tightens up, you just say, it's one game, I don't want to risk it for the rest of the year?
I mean, that's not how I think. Like I said, I plan on playing, and we'll look forward to it.
Does it have anything to do with any lingering effects of the tackle or any contact in Dallas?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nothing.
Is there anything you might do tomorrow, or will you do similar plan as today?
That's a good question. Last time when I did it, I didn't kick on Friday. So typically here I kick Wednesdays and Fridays. Today I was out there doing the individual drills, running around on it, doing some air swings, but they didn't actually kick a ball because I don't usually kick balls on Thursdays. Friday we'll see. Well, I'll see in the morning. Depends on what we think is the best. Does it matter if I kick on Friday or Sunday? We'll take it from there, I think.
How much does it hurt, just the ramp-up process when you're dealing with an injury like that during the week? Just like ramping up to get ready?
It doesn't hurt when I'm walking around, running around. It was hurting when I kicked. I'm not going to test that right now to see because I don't need to re-aggravate it. Like I said, it's very similar to my injury that I had in 22. I had a pretty good game, and I had two 50-yarders and a 40-yarder in that game. And so, like I said, I plan on playing.
Brendan, are you able to, ignore the blocks, the breakdown up front, and next time coming through, is it hard to, get that out of your head?
Not necessarily. Obviously, it becomes frustrating for everybody. And I talked after the game, I think how, anytime, I guess if I'm on the field to score points, obviously it's an important play. And, it's just the nature of the fact, whether it's an extra point or a field goal, it's important. And, I have to trust that they're going to do the jobs. I know they trust me to do my job. And so, like I said, at times you might get frustrated, but, I might have to have my head down. And, the operation's about 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. And there's no way my brain could be thinking about if they're going to be blocking for me. I'm focused on kind of my target and the kick ahead of me. So, they did a great job bouncing back in the game, like I said. Hopefully, the plan is for everyone to do the job and myself moving forward.
Yeah. So unlike the 53-yarder, you're not thinking, I got to get this up a little higher than I normally do?
If I'm thinking about that, I'm not going to be as good as I know I am kicking.
Thank you, Brandon.
Good.
Thanks.
What happened yesterday in practice, and how do you feel?
I was kicking, warming up. I had kickoffs earlier in the day, and then I was warming up.
Okay, we could listen to Brandon McManus for a second time, but let's not do that. So, pretty much what you heard from Matt LaFleur earlier on in the show or earlier on in the day, if you want to talk in terms of a timetable from when Matt LaFleur talked to when Brandon McManus talked. You can kind of throw out that major concern comment. That was funny what McManus said about Matt LaFleur has a different thesaurus or encyclopedia with how to define or how he describes injuries. That was a good one. So, I mean, great news. I mean, that's really good, especially what he said about it was a similar injury to what he had back in 2022. He took the rest of the week off, and then he made 3 long field goals anyway and had a great game. And honestly, if it was going to happen to anyone, it's better to happen to a veteran kicker than it is someone on the younger side, because at least McManus understands his body enough to say, hey, I'm going to shut it down. And I've dealt with this before where I don't have to kick the rest of the week. I can take those mental reps. And as you saw at practice, and I'll pop up that clip again from practice, just watching him look at the nodding and just taking those mental reps of how he would approach the ball and staying with Daniel Whelan the entire time. Rich Bisaccia was tossing footballs back to Whelan as well for him to prop up for McManus. Also cool to see Mark McNamee behind McManus taking those practice reps, but McManus was in the fold the entire time, which again, great news for the Packers because you don't have a kicker. And again, the Packers have seen what happens when you don't have a consistent or a good kicker the last couple of years. Now, Green Bay did work out 2 kickers, one being Greg Joseph, who, if you remember, was in the running for the kicking job with Anders Carlson a year ago, and then they cut both of them and signed Braden Arvison. So it's one of those things where you got to be cautious, but McManus has the confidence in himself, at least enough, that he should be good to go on Sunday. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers made a move to sign a kicker over Mark McNamee, who's already in that IPP spot. Someone like a Greg Joseph, who's been in the system before, has worked with Rich Bisaccia. So we'll have to see as time moves on. But when we come back here on WFRV Plus Sports Night, we're talking to Micah Parsons, a guy who, I mean, he stole the headlines the first 4 weeks, and rightfully so, especially entering his homecoming game against Dallas. And don't think now that we're at week 6 and we're past that game, we're kind of past the honeymoon Parsons phase. He's back to full strength, or at least no longer on injury reports for the foreseeable future. He's still a guy you want to talk about and talk to exclusively. So talking to Micah Parsons today, we'll catch up with him just right outside the locker room when we come back on WFRV Plus Sports Night. Hey folks, we're back. WFRV Plus Sports Night. I'm Cameron Ezer. We're riding solo. What's that song? Is it Tayo Cruz? I don't know. But we're riding solo tonight as the Packers prep for the Bengals on Sunday. Home cooking at Lambeau for the first time in the month. Back to football for the first time in a couple weeks after a week 5 bye, the first since 2020 for the Pack. And of course, that season they made the NFC Championship game, but we will not talk about the result in that one. We talked to Micah Parsons today every Thursday. That's usually his day to speak, as Jordan Love speaks on Wednesday. So let's catch up with Micah Parsons. First off, Micah, how's your season gone so far through now, a month and a half in the green and gold?
I'm just starting to get in the rhythm. I'm starting to get going. I feel like I'm playing really good. I think there's another level I can get into.
Not just you, but the whole.
Yeah, overall, there's another level we can all get to. We're all learning how to communicate, learning how each other play. Like, there's things that we came out the body, it was like, all right, well, we know we can't do this with you because you like doing this. Like, it's like a whole relationship. It's like it's like a brother-sister relationship in the locker room, or brother and brother. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand how to talk to your brother, what your brother likes to do, and you got to work that relationship constantly in the locker room. So I just think, coming off the bye, coming off this week, we getting some extra practices under our belt. We're really understanding what each other as a family, how we can get better and how we can expand on that. Yeah, for me, it was coming in right off the bye and coming and talk to Half and DC about, how I can expand and what I think I can do better and how we can get away from some of these looks that we're getting. Some looks that, some of these guys aren't used to seeing from last year because how good we've been. And, I'm glad that we got to expand on that. And they had a week to think about it, and I had a week to think about it. And we came in Monday and we practiced, and They say, hey, can you stay later? Can you come in early Tuesday? And we meet and we draw up the plans. And now we're feeling confident. We just finished our last, really hard practice of what this new look's going to look like. And I'm pretty excited about it,
You mentioned after the Dallas game that Sunday night how important Devontae Wyatt was to you guys. I know he hasn't been practicing, but just what has he meant? You've known him a month, but what has his game meant to this defense?
I just think when I think about a guy that, is very selfless, very charismatic, and I think he's just a true dog. Like, one thing he had me excited about was because I'm usually had this mentality. It doesn't matter who I line up against. I expect to beat him. And Tyler Smith was coming in town. I was like, man, I see they got some undrafted guys in there. You better dominate. He said, undrafted? He said, I want their top dog. And I was like, that's the guy with 3 tech you're going to play next to. And you go into that game and you see when he's in there versus when he's not, he commands attention. He knows how to play the run, get to the pass rush. And, from what I told him, I said, I kind of went through the same thing the year I was supposed to get paid. I said, just come back 100%, just know we miss you and we care about you and we check on them every day. But, come back when you're healthy because we know what you can put on film. And I don't want you thinking about it. I want you out here playing to your full capability and play as dominant as I know you can. Yeah, real comfortable. And I just think now I feel like everyone has embraced me in some way, somehow, whether it's Coop, whether it's Quay, whether it's the D-line, all of us hanging out. We all have built a stable relationship now, and now it's just like we're comfortable with each other. We kind of know what to expect from each other, and then ultimately we know the standard, how we need to play, what it looks like, and I'm ready for us to bounce back this week because our last performance wasn't great.
What's it like to sit with a performance like that for 2 weeks?
You should be pissed off. Like, you sitting down pissed off. We just gave up 40 points, and we're talking about we can't give up 20 and how we shouldn't lose games. Well, that's how you lose games, So we should be pissed off. We should be ready to come out here and play Sunday, regardless of who's playing, and whoop some butt. If we're really dogs, that's how I come. That's how I look at it. Like, we really say who we want to be. We should take that how we finished last, and we should punish these guys. And we should want to leave a statement. Like, it should be a statement win. It should be a statement on defense. Like I just think it's a statement. Like, these guys should be pissed off because I was pissed off.
And say it with your chest, Micah Parsons. In his introductory presser with the media here in Green Bay, he said, well, I'm probably going to say things that I maybe shouldn't because I'm just going to do me, and that's me. And not saying he shouldn't have said that because he has every right to feel as he felt first off post-game because he shared the same sentiments and still now 2 weeks later as he's getting ready to play the Bengals. But my goodness, does he speak his mind? And if you're anyone that watches the Packers, covers the Packers, has anything to do associated with this team, you should enjoy that because not everyone's like that. And there's nothing wrong with being like that or not being like that, but Micah Parsons will always be transparent. He also talked about the fact of what brings him enjoyment in the game and why he's so excited to just be back after the bye week is the constant desire to hunt, to chase the gazelle. That was the analogy that he gave to getting after the quarterback. And saying, yeah, an O-lineman might chip me. Someone might beat me once in terms of a quarterback or a running back off the edge, but can they do it over and over and over again? And that's what he enjoys most about the game is the fact that he said, you got to be a little crazy to play the game of football because it's so back and forth. And that mentality is something that Micah Parsons brings to this team on a daily basis. Said he watches motivational videos and actually implored Lucas Van Ness to do so. Said it started back in high school with his high school football program playing motivational videos. Muhammad Ali, Kobe Bryant, he'd watch lion videos. And he told LVN that, and Van Ness, like, I got to get on that. Yeah, if you want over 50 sacks through the first 4 years of your career, you might be a little behind so far, but yeah, maybe you have to do that. And Parsons said he credits a lot of, again, his work ethic and his success to his mentality. And you can see that on a daily basis. And you're a Bengals team on the opposite side on Sunday. You're bottom 3 in pass defense, bottom 8 in rush defense. So the Packers offense is going to enjoy that. Then you just brought in Joe Flacco traded for him on Tuesday from the Browns. Now, Flacco's already seen the Packers this season, but he didn't look that good, even though the Browns ended up winning that game because of the scenario that was those final 4 minutes that a lot of Packers fans want to forget. But you talk about the hunt. A couple weeks ago, Micah Parsons said, I need Flacco, haven't got him yet. Well, if he gets him, it'll be the 27th different quarterback that he's sacked over his now, 4.25-year career. And he gets a mulligan after not getting Flacco, but pressuring him, I think it was 8 times in that loss against the Browns. Should be a fun one. Packers-Bengals right here on Local 5, coming your way on Sunday, 3:25 start. That'll do it for, this week's edition of WFRV Plus Sports Night. You're going to enjoy it, or you should. The spread's 14.5 in favor of the Packers, and rightfully so. Green Bay back at home, and it should be a good one as they take on Cincinnati, hoping to get back in the win column for the first time since they were at home a month ago. Well, that'll do it for me here in our WFRV Plus studios. I'm Cameron Ezer. We will see you next week, and enjoy the game, everyone.